What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of FBS Fridays on the Blitz City Podcast. As you can see, man, we got a big panel tonight for what should be a good episode, man. My guy, Blue Blood, you already know Blue. We got Doc Holliday from HBCU Overdrive. We got my co-host, Clay McCarter. That's my guy right there. And, of course, we got Kelly Flicks. Y'all all should know Kelly, man. He be coming up with the most fire list on social media. I know y'all seen it. Man, hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's good, man?
What's the deal?
Hey,
What's
it's
up,
all
man?
good. It's all. Listen, man. I wanted to start off because it was a lot of topics, right? That's why I wanted to wait until we had like enough to talk about. But it was some interesting topics this week that I couldn't wait to get y'all's opinion on. So I'm gonna start with the first one because it was kind of blowing me. And forgive how the picture set up. You know, I'm doing this off my phone. Alabama's top 5 wide receivers, bro. This is Devontae Smith, Alabama's top 5 wide receiver. This was a thing for like a week. You know, he got Julio Jones number 1. I agree with that. Amari Cooper number 2, Calvin Ridley 3, Jerry Jeudy 4, Devontae Smith number 5. What I get it. He's being modest. That's him. That's his character. But when you see everybody else's top 5, like when they asked Jerry Jeudy and Devontae Smith and everybody else, you know, there's difference. Like they had Julio number 5. I hated that. For me, it's Julio number 1. All right, I'm gonna put Devontae Smith 2. Okay, just because of that Heisman, I know he got the Heisman. I'm not putting him over Julio simply because Julio did not have the luxury of a Henry Ruggs or Jerry Jeudy on the same offense as him as well. So it'll be Devontae Smith number 2. Okay, after that. So who else we got? I'll put Amari 3. I'll put Jeudy 4, and I'll put Ridley at 5. But that's just me. That's just me. What do y'all think? Did y'all agree with the list? Like, what would be y'all top 5?
Bro, can we say we don't have a Jalen Waddle on there?
My man.
I'm not putting over who?
Still though, Jalen Waddle, you don't have him on there.
I'll take what Waddle accomplished. I'll take Waddle for sure. I like the mindset from Doc there for sure. I mean, Kobe, what you said, I definitely agree. Honestly, with the way you did it positioning wise, I definitely agree. Man, I remember Amari Cooper gave Vernon Hargreaves fucking fits at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Fits, and then Hargreaves goes out, and DeMarcus Robinson was given Bama fits for a little bit, but we ended up losing the game, obviously. But I like the way that you grouped that one. I mean, you. I think the big thing there is everyone knows Julio's the dog there, but at the same time, as that winning a Heisman at the wide receiver position and doing that, obviously, when that's a quarterback trophy, whether people like to say it or not, that's respectable. He's got to be either 1A, 1B right there. I mean, that's admirable.
I'll be in the minority. It should be Devontae Smith at 1 by himself, and it shouldn't even be close.
Really?
If we're taking into account measurables and how they did in the NFL, then cool, we'll put Julio 1. But if we're going strictly off of what they did at Alabama, it's Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith had more yards and touchdowns in one season than Julio had in 3 seasons at Bama.
Okay.
He did.
All right.
And you said, hang on. And you said you gave him the excuse of having weapons. If you remember the year he won the Heisman, everybody else got hurt. Everybody knew who was getting the ball every single play. And Devontae Smith was cooking people week in and week out. He only had his group of guys for 1 year, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, 23 receiving touchdowns in a singular season as a wide receiver, and led them to a national title the year that Bama was not supposed to be there in the national title. I'm sorry, I get it. Julio's an athletic freak. He's from my hometown, but it's Devontae Smith, and it's not even a debate in my opinion.
I mean, you go with Devontae Smith, man. You had John Mechie, you had Jameson Williams wasn't even playing in that. He didn't even play that season, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, he came the year. He was the year after.
He was the year after, but yeah, John Mechie. They had a whole slew of weapons that year. as far as like you said, going to the national championship when they weren't supposed to be in the national championship in the first place.
Henry Ruggs.
Yeah,
Henry Ruggs was the year before, if I'm not mistaken.
At one point, Alabama had the same wide receiver room of Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith.
Yeah, but in 2020, if I'm not that like COVID year, the year he won the Heisman, Waddle went out week 4 with an injury against A&M. Yeah. Is that where he tore up his leg? Ruggs was gone by then. Judy was gone by then.
Okay, that was 19 season. Okay, that probably
19 season, and he still put up 1,000 with all those guys. Came back the next year, set the school record for receiving yards and receiving touchdowns.
I respect it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be inclined to agree with Blue somewhat, just for the fact that Devontae Smith was put at 5. I think that's a little disrespectful as the lone Heisman winner going at 5 for Alabama top 5 wide receiver list. I think he's definitely 1A or 1B in the situation. Julio Jones and his impact to Alabama was simply amazing. He was one of Nick Saban's first recruiting classes. He really was the beginning of the Alabama dynasty. So I think getting his just due is him being 1 or 2 on this list. I'd take Julio 1. I'd take Devontae Smith 2. I think kind of after that, maybe Amari Cooper. And I don't think Jalen Waddle gets on his top 5 as good as he is. I think it's kind of hindsight bias to put him on top 5 at this point. And I think Julio, Devontae Smith, but either or though, to me.
So I got to ask you guys, because I pulled it up while we were talking. Devontae has the most receiving touchdowns in SEC history and is 5th all-time in college football history for receiving touchdowns, and he's not even going to be the best wide receiver at his own school.
I respect it.
Like you said, I think he was just being modest that he put himself 5th.
Yeah.
I think he was just he was showing props to Julio, man. I mean, that's I mean, he's in I would say in majority of us time frame wise of age generation. I mean, he's one of the GOATs in terms of receivers that we got to see in our lifetime. Him, Andre Johnson, Megatron, like guys that were like big body. I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna manhandle y'all, which doesn't really. That style of receiver is kind of like faded out a little bit. If you start like in the NFL at least, you know what I mean? Like it's not like there's not like much of these like big body guys anymore that are gonna. I'm gonna go up there. Don't care if you got a double team. That don't matter.
Right.
All that's gonna do is add to the highlight tape. That's what it is. But I respect it.
And but just think about this though. Before even Julio got there, Alabama was a wasteland for wide receivers and quarterbacks. Just
because they ran that same running offense always. Everyone was Bama and Georgia are ones in the West, ones in the East, and they're gonna live and die by the run. And if you stop the run, then they're gonna try to open the offense and try to see what they can do in the passing game. But other than that, they're gonna die by the run game. Until obviously, you start bringing in those higher key offensive coordinators, your Todd Munkins, your Sarkisians, all those other things, and kind of go from there. But whatever. Random question though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm biased to this just because I really do have a fandom for him. I think Jerry Jeudy was better than Calvin Ridley.
Yeah,
really.
I do think Jerry Jeudy's. I think he's a better.
I can give him
There's plenty of guys in the NFL that say Jerry Jeudy's one of the best route runners that they've seen out of some of these young guys. I think Jerry Jeudy is a better polished receiver than Calvin Ridley ever has been.
Yeah,
he was always a better route runner, but his problem now is what, catching the ball.
Having a quarterback.
But at the same time as even before Russ, I mean, whether people want to agree or not, Russ is mid.
He's trash. Not even mid.
Russ is mid.
What's it say, Blue?
He's trash. Let's just be honest.
Russ is mid. Russ gets grouped into those quarterbacks of like I would say like when you talk about like Russ, like obviously like his defense carried him. That's the truth. Marshawn Lynch carried him. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just want to throw that one out there because we're talking about the list. But I think I genuinely think Jerry Jeudy is way more polished than Calvin Ridley ever was.
I know this is off topic though. I remember I did something on my show. We was talking about who is wide receiver you, like, and we just kind of went down a list, and I'm like, would you say we like Alabama? I'm like
Ohio State,
Ohio State.
Absolutely.
LSU,
Clemson.
Like
Oklahoma, USC. I mean, there's a long
go,
list of.
like I said, you can go straight down the line.
You can make a lot of arguments for a lot of schools, man. I mean, for those years when Clemson was in that phase of they won those 2 natties and stuff. I mean, their rosters of going back and forth with consecutive draft picks of guys. I mean, starting off with Sammy Watkins at one point. I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that had some absolute dogs at receiver.
Yeah.
You know what, Doc White, let me ask you this while you're here, because I think me, Blue, we had disagreed with this last time. Who's running back you, Georgia or Bama?
Running back you?
Georgia.
By far.
Man, all right.
By far, because,
Thank you.
Far,
I just want to say I appreciate y'all.
Just think about this, because you got to go back, like you do literally got to go back into the 80s. You got to go back to Herschel Walker, and then
I was just about to say that.
You got to go into the early 90s with Garrison Hurst. You had to go with Terrell Davis, Robert Edwards, and then you shift over to like the 2000s. But you know,
DeAndre
Swift,
Nick Chubb,
Todd Gurley. Like you got a slew of backs though from Georgia. Alabama, don't get me wrong.
I think they're top 3, right? I think we can all agree they're probably top 3.
Alabama's definitely got to be top 3.
So.
I feel like the running back. I feel like the big turning point for Bama probably had to have been, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think like the big turning point for Bama when like you start to see these guys start to like really, really flood in was like that Mark Ingram era. Because like right after Mark Ingram, it was consecutive first-round draft picks for a few years.
The problem with Bama is that they were so overrated in the NFL. Like Eddie Lacy getting up to like 700 pounds, and then TJ Yeldon being kind of mid, and then Mark Ingram being, an average starter.
Right.
Like
Deion Drake,
Trent Richardson.
Yeah, Jesus.
Trent Richardson was kind of like the ultimate. We're not going to draft the running back from Bama until Derrick Henry came on the scene.
Derrick Henry broke the mold, and then you got like, do y'all give Bama Alvin Kamara?
Yeah,
No.
you got to.
Nah.
You got
No.
to.
He's only there for a year though. Like I give Tennessee Kamara more so than Bama.
I had to give. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, as I feel like you got to give that one. I mean, the year that he was at Bama, he didn't
play.
He did ball.
But he didn't play. He practiced.
He didn't play much.
Yeah, it's like giving Justin Fields to Ohio State. I mean, not
or
State,
giving
Georgia.
Cam Newton to Florida.
Yeah,
This can't happen.
Yeah, nah.
You mean just giving Justin Fields to Georgia?
Yeah, to Georgia.
Yeah.
All right, so okay. Well, if we talk about that, would you not give Jalen Hurts to Oklahoma?
No,
he goes to both.
No,
he goes to both.
This man won national championships and stuff at Alabama, and then went to Oklahoma and won a Heisman. Now that's Alabama.
There's players that can go to both.
I just feel like he was the best version of himself at Oklahoma because of Lincoln Riley.
I think
competition.
I think it was more the play call, like you said, with the play calling, because it was pretty much mid when he was at Bama, but they knew how to win with, they won with that offense. So you got to understand, dude was like 26-2 in like 2 years at Bama, and then he goes to Oklahoma and he only loses 2 games because the other game he lost was in the semifinals against Georgia. So the man is a winner. Anywhere he goes, the man can win anywhere you go.
Was how many years did Jalen Hurts have Sarkisian?
2.
2? Yeah. And then Tua was what? 1.
Yeah, because he also had Kiffin, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kiffin before he took the Ole Miss job, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just think like Tua, then you shift over to
Bryce.
Mac.
Mike. Mac, and then Bryce.
Then Bryce is like, man, you had that quarterbacks. You got a run of quarterbacks coming in the Bama, and then it's like I said before, then Bama used to be a wasteland for quarterbacks.
100%. I mean, You're talking about like the Greg McElroys, the John Parker Wilsons, the.
I could go back. I could go back to Jay Barker went back in the early 90s. That's what, I mean, I guess this is how old I am. Like I could go back there. Like it was like hand the ball out to the running back and we're gonna do some play action passing to see if we can get somebody open. But other than like Greg McElroy coming in to kind of open it up, and then John Parker Wilson was just he was basically a game manager.
Yeah, the game changer for them was definitely the game changer for them definitely was that kind of turning point a little bit, getting into that Jalen Hurts-ish kind of rocking and rolling, and then from there they kind of said, okay, hold on, well these boys are getting offensive coordinators now. Let's kind of see what we can do.
It was as soon as Kiffin stepped in, and Cedric's right. Kiffin left for FAU, not Ole Miss, but
that's right.
So but like when Kiffin came in, he brought that offense to Bama, and it changed the type of quarterback they had to recruit to run that scheme, because you can't play in Lane Kiffin's offense and be an AJ McCarron. Like it's never going to work. So they had to upgrade their quarterback recruiting. And let's be honest, we see it now at Ole Miss. Quarterbacks want to play for Lane Kiffin. Like that is a
of course.
major thing. So I think Nick Saban's decision to hire Lane Kiffin extended his dynasty by however many years.
Probably about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
just off the top of that, just off that alone. I know it was a couple of years like that here in Texas with University of Texas, like trying to think when after Vince Young left, and you like who's gonna take the reins? It's like shoot, you got Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy was a dog, dude.
Colt McCoy,
except in big games when he faked a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
Man, that was low.
Come on now. Marcel Darius hit that man to another stratosphere, bro.
Hey, random question though. Did Lincoln pick up Kingsbury?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering. I know that he took a job after he said, "Well, I'm going to go spend a year in Bali." I was like, "Whatever, dude. You're just saying that shit. Just say that shit."
It's only like an analyst though.
Yeah.
It's not coaching.
All right, so
analyst.
Check this out. Because I had a problem with this next list, so I want to bring it up. Top 10 NFL quarterback prospects. Now, Caleb Williams, obviously number 1, right?
Oh,
my problem begins with number 4. Why is Quinn Ewers?
I said the same thing.
Number 4.
Shout out Blue.
Why
Where's
is Quinn Ewers number 4,
baby?
Bro, I did not like him when he was in when he played at South Lake Carroll. I thought he was too cocky for himself when he was at South Lake. But like,
listen, Quinn Ewers at number 4 bothers me. Jordan Travis, in my opinion, is a little too overrated for my. That's just me. JJ McCarthy, I'm a fan of him. Keep him at the bottom because I need this. I need another year. Jaden Daniels should be higher. Sam Hartman gets no respect, and I don't like that.
He should be at 4. Sam Hartman should be at 4. He is such a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers.
Man,
Joe Milton shouldn't even be on that list. Personally.
That's what I'm saying. Joe Milton's overrated too. Like, listen, I work for Tennessee, and he's getting so much hype for no reason.
Should be on that list. I was like I said,
so Joe Milton came from Michigan, right?
Yes,
correct.
Mm-hmm. Come on now, I'm a Tennessee fan, man. Why is y'all doing me like this, bro?
Like I said,
he might not even be the starter for his own team this year.
Right when he pulled that up, man, where's Grayson McCall?
Man, I want to follow up.
Right, where's Grayson McCall not even being on here?
That's your boy,
Come
dog.
on, bro.
It's just ridiculous, man.
I think Bo Nix should be up. You think Bo Nix should be at 5 right there?
Yeah.
Hey, hold on. Hey, Kobe. Hey, Kobe, yes. Go to the bathroom real quick, dog.
Hey,
Kobe, go to the bathroom real quick, dog.
Say what you got to say about Bo, man.
No, Bo Nix last year, if you watch the film, he had – now, listen, let's take it back to this past draft cycle. Bo Nix's improvement going from Auburn to Oregon was so similar to Hendon Hooker going from Virginia Tech to Tennessee. It was that type of leap. I mean, Bo Nix had double-digit rushing touchdowns, 500-plus yards rushing, completed 72% of his passes, almost 4,000 yards, and damn near 40 passing touchdowns. That was not the guy I watched as a student in Auburn.
Yeah.
That was not it.
I know that obviously you being a big Auburn fan, man. I remember, like, obviously I got to see Bo Nix play my squad twice.
Yeah.
I was like, man, he isn't the answer. That's for damn sure. But he's definitely made some leaps. I'm glad that, you know, obviously him doing his thing out there was making Kobe happy, but we'll see what happens.
And I seen Bo Nix the first game they played here in Arlington. I think it was his freshman year.
Yeah, true freshman. That was his first ever shot. I was there, and that pass he hit on he completed like 20% of his passes for 3.5 quarters. The game's almost over. He just leads a shocking game-winning drive and hits Seth Williams for a touchdown to beat Oregon.
See,
yeah, okay, all right. I tried to get that game out my mind, bro.
Yeah, but Bo Nix, man, definitely is like a rebirth at Oregon. I must say it with Dan Lanning and those guys at Oregon. He looks totally different, way more explosive. He looks like a new quarterback. He's light on his feet now. He's rushing for more yards. I think Bo Nix is top 5, definitely. I'm not sure if Quinn Ewers should be in there. But one guy I do think should be on this list, though, and is draft eligible this year, Shedeur Sanders. If Jordan Travis is on this list, if J.J. McCarthy is on this list, Shedeur Sanders has a chance to be top 10.
You know, we will talk about that later, but if y'all want to talk about that now, if y'all,
question.
I read somewhere where they said Shedeur Sanders is being considered a top 5 quarterback, draft eligible quarterback going into next year. I read that.
Blue, question for you.
They said the stock is rising. They said the stock is rising, top 5, top 10. Like they said he's there. Like they expected a big year from him. How y'all feel about that?
Man, we have to see what happens going from HBCU to where he's at, new team, everything. I feel like that's gonna be kind of like see how it kind of plays out. But I mean, I'm rooting for the kid.
Here's the thing. Does one good year at Colorado do it for him? Like really? Does it convince everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of the success that was had at Jackson State.
Yeah,
absolutely, it's going to. These are NFL scouts, man. These boys were literally licking their chops about Will Levis until the draft happened.
Oh God!
These boys were sitting there salivating at the mouth over Will Levis until the draft, until the curtains opened up and the lights came on, and you had like the actual guys in the front offices, like, okay, hold on, this is why y'all are scouts. We're gonna make the decisions. That's kind of the situation is. I think 1 year, if he has a year at Colorado where he throws 4K over 30, I'd say probably 35 touchdowns minimum, and then whatever he does with his legs a little bit, he's gonna get a nod. I would say in probably top 4 rounds.
But it's also that schedule that he has to go up against right there.
Pac-12 is not no hoe this year. That's for damn sure.
Not at all, but just straight out the gate going up against TCU, man, in Fort Worth. And it's, from what I'm hearing out here, it's sold out. Like, it's sold out crowd right there. And I think that will give you set the barometer for what he does for the rest of the season.
Who picked up Duggins?
He got drafted, didn't he?
He got drafted.
Was he
round, bro?
The Eagle? What? No, not the Eagle. No, Eagles got
5th or 6th round.
I want to say the Eagles drafted him as a backup. I could be wrong.
Let me see.
I don't really pay attention too much to like the later, like 5th, 6th, 7th rounds at that point.
Yeah, he got drafted in the 7th round or something like that. I forgot what team it was, but he got drafted.
The Chargers.
Chargers. Okay.
Oh, he's gonna fit in with Herbert a little bit, but I don't know about what's gonna happen there.
Yeah, but back to Shedeur though. But even with him even trying to be top 10 and what I think can happen, Vegas has Colorado winning 4 games this year. So this is a make or break year for Shedeur Sanders. If he wants to prove that he can be a top 10 quarterback, this is the right school, the right time to show your worth. You're going to be playing in a conference where you got 3 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the nation in it with Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix. You got a chance to show yourself. You can now measure up right next to the top quarterbacks in college football. Now, if he measures up or not, that's yet to be seen. But this is definitely a make or break year, and I count him in.
He ain't got to see Michael Penix this year, but he sure do got to see Cameron Ward down in Washington State.
And Bo Nix.
And Bo Nix.
Caleb
And
Williams.
Caleb Williams. And DJ. DJ at Oregon State.
Man,
Yes.
Blue, me and you
yeah.
have the same topic on this one, dog. We don't gotta bring up DJ for nothing, dog. That man's gonna sell the hell out. That man's gonna sell the hell out of some insurance, dog.
Just saying.
And
Utah. So
like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, listen, I could be talked into borderline top 10 if he has a hell of a year this year. But right now, to me, he's not even a top 5 quarterback in his own conference. So how is he going to be a top 10 draft eligible quarterback? Because right now, if you're building a team, everyone on the panel is taking Cam Rising from Utah over Shedeur Sanders right now.
Absolutely.
yeah.
You're taking Bo Nix.
Yeah.
You're taking Michael Penix. You're taking Caleb Williams. And we can have a real debate about whether you would want Cameron Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
True.
Like, that's a real debate. So you're looking at 5 or 6 at max, and I just don't see how you put him in the top 10 right this second. But now, like, listen, I agree with what you guys said. If he comes out here and throws for 3,500, 4,000 yards, has a big season, competes with Caleb Williams, competes with Cam Rising, competes with Bo Nix in these games, yeah, then he earned his spot in terms of a top 10 quarterback. But right now, man, I got to see him prove it on the football field, because there's going to be some games we have not seen him in a lot of battles where he has to go back and forth for the quarterback. And that defense, based on what I've seen, I went back and watched the spring game. He better be scoring 45 points a game, or they're going to get beat in a lot of games.
They gonna get smoked.
So that's the thing.
Understandable.
That's the thing when it comes down to nitpicking these quarterback prospects. If I'm a prospect, and I mean an NFL scout, I'm not looking for the win losses, because I know the turnover rate with Colorado. Just, can you go out there and compete? Can you show me something? Like, can you show me that you can compete with Caleb and all that? I'm not necessarily looking towards the win losses. But next topic, right? The top 25. I had a problem. I got a problem
for sure.
Yeah, hang on. Take that comment down. Who is it? Who's 25th?
Oh, you.
What?
20. Oh yeah, Oklahoma is 25th.
Good God.
But my problem comes with Bama being number 6.
Are we this hot on Washington?
Kobe, question real quick. Not trying to add in another topic, but I do want to hear y'all's point of view. What do you like? What do y'all genuinely expect out of the Notre Dame transfer for Bama?
He is garbage.
You think? Okay,
He is
I was trying to make sure we had the same kind of viewpoints a little bit, because I don't think he's that great.
Did you watch the Marshall film? Marshall embarrassed that poor kid. He threw like 3 picks, including a game-losing pick 6 to end that game. And got benched.
At Notre Dame.
Yes.
Yeah, Notre Dame's quarterback transferred to Bama after he was like, well, I'm going to come back to Notre Dame unless the offers aren't on the table. And Nick Saban came through with that bag and said, we need somebody to come out here to try to mess around with, was it Blake Sims?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's teamed up with his old offensive coordinator, but I didn't see any flashes from him last year that showed me that he would be a game changer at quarterback at all. He doesn't even look like the guy. I think Bama's just scrambling for a quarterback.
Yeah, just trying to have some depth. I see it.
I gotta look at it because Blue said he trash, bro. I gotta go back and look at it.
Just go watch that. Just go watch it. As I remember watching it in the press box of when I was at the Southern Heritage Classic, I was sitting in the press box and we were watching it in the press box. That kid was atrocious. Like, he is not good. But when I look at this, I'll be honest, USC and Utah are extremely low, in my opinion, especially because you could say what you want. They're not flashy. A lot of people probably can't name their head coach. Some of the players. Utah has been the most consistent Pac-12 team for like 6 years now.
100%.
They are always in the Pac-12 championship or competing for that. And then USC returns the Heisman Trophy winner and a bunch of defensive pieces, and they're at 13 behind Washington.
And what's crazy is they have one of the higher odds to win the Natty next year if you look at Vegas. And on top of that, like going back to the last topic, this could be a little bit of a stretch, but playing like he did last year, do you not have to give Spencer a little bit of a nod? Just a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just a little bit of a nod. I mean, you have to think. Last year, I think, was his big leap, like we were talking about previously with a couple other guys. He looked like a guy that you like. It was your first year ever watching him. Like you basically forgot about all the other bad things, even though he played very bad football at one point.
Yeah.
But
LSU too at 8 would be low for me. I think LSU's a top 5 team.
I'd say probably put him at right around 5.
Man, that defense led by Harold Perkins is going to be ridiculous. They landed Zy Alexander, the 2-time FCS All-American at cornerback, 6'3" and can run, and absolutely destroyed people at Southeastern Louisiana. And then on top of that, you bring back Jaden Daniels, who looks so great, man, coming in that offense. And LSU, you could say what they lost to X wide receivers. They always got athletes at wide receiver.
Oh,
That's just a staple at LSU.
Bro,
And Brian Kelly is one of the greatest regular season coaches of all time. LSU is going to go 10-2, 11-1 minimum.
Yeah, absolutely.
How you saying Harold Perkins just stopped me right there because he reminds me of Michael Parsons on the Cowboys.
Harold Perkins is a dog. When he was coming out of high school, man, I remember following him because there was all this smoke about where's he going in the SEC because that kind of seemed like where it was. Like at some point, I remember obviously I'm a Florida fan. Doc, I've done one episode with Kelly as well. But I'm a big Florida fan, big Buccaneer fan. Harold had the smoke to Florida, and it was like absolutely not. He was like, I'm riding out, and I'm a fan. I watch an LSU game just to watch him play.
Man,
yeah, no, he's special.
He's something serious. He's going to be one of the next great SEC linebackers that comes out and does something in the league. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. He reminds me of. I wouldn't even say not like a Devin White style. He's just so versatile. Like he's athletic, and he can move. He can move.
Can he put his hand in the dirt? If he can do that, he can remind me of Derek Thomas.
I don't know if he's as big. Is he as big as Derek Thomas was? Because Derek Thomas was a unit.
Yeah, Aaron Perkins probably got to be. He by now of where he's gotten now, he's got to be floating that 230 number.
Yeah, because he's an edge rusher at the next level. Like he can put his hand in the dirt to rush the passer, but bro, don't use it. Like just make him go get the quarterback. That's it. That's all you want out of him.
He's going to excel in the NFL in a 3-4 style when he gets to be that stand-up linebacker. He gets to be that Shaq Barrett, that not as obviously as big size-wise, but that Alden Smith kind of role where you're kind of floating around that line of making the decision if you're going to kind of sit in the box a little bit or if you're going to try to go get after whoever's in the backfield.
I feel you on that one. I feel you. Like I said, he reminds me, just looking at him, just reminds me of Michael Parsons. Like, if we put him in with the Cowboys, with our defense, with Dan Quinn, oh, my God, he would literally probably be going neck and neck with Michael for trying to become the sack leader for the Cowboys, man. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
All right, so
let me get to the top 25 real quick. It's a couple Pac-12 teams in here. It's like picking out some raisins out some potato salad. I got to pick some out. So Oregon State in the top 25. You got to get out of here on it. There's no way you're in there.
They finished in the top 25 last year, didn't they? Oregon State finished like top 20.
Yeah.
Oregon State finished, I think, at like you said, like 19 or 18 last year. The bowl game that they played, Oregon State, they smoked them in the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Smoke
Florida,
and mirrors,
wasn't it?
man. Smoke and mirrors, man. I'll take Oregon State out of this. I'd also take another squad out of this, too. That's all just sneaking in here. UCLA with a new quarterback. No way. I can't see them being top 25. You just leave off a DTR who's been there for 7 years, and you expect me to believe that this is a top 25 team now this year when your 4-star quarterback, Dante Moore, just got placed a second string? Like, no way. No way.
And still Chip Kelly.
Man, that's one guy I'll never put no stock in, man. I'll never put no stock in him.
We appreciated him at Auburn.
Okay. All righty. Hey, Blue, bro, I'm tired of you with the slick shots. All right, you got your little championship. Congratulations, even though Michael Dyer was down. Okay.
He was not. I got the Peyton. He was floating.
All right, so speaking of Pac-12 teams, I want to talk about USC because they've accumulated some big-time talent in the transfer portal, getting Bear Alexander. They got the cornerback from Alabama, Traquan Fargans, I think is his name. With the accumulation of talent, with Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick projected, should they win the Pac-12? Is it a failure if they don't win the Pac-12 and get a playoff spot?
I think that it's definitely a failure, but I'm pretty sure that every single one of us and probably America can agree that these boys are being put on a pedestal to where they need to be competing for a national championship.
Yeah.
This is if you had a year that lined up in such a cordial way for you to where you have Alabama figuring it out, you have Ohio State figuring it out, you have Georgia trying to reload and figure out their quarterback position, you have all these other big name contenders, and you're returning the offense, the Heisman winner for last year, and probably he probably is going to win Heisman again this year. The potency of what they have and all they've done is really kind of accumulate a little bit more talent. I think that for them, I would say it's going to be more upsetting for them missing. I would say it's more upsetting for them if they don't make it at least to the national championship. The season's a failure for them. They have to play in the game. They have got to play in the game this year. They got to do it because next year, once Caleb's gone, there's not even a guarantee that them boys sneak into a New York Six Bowl, depending on who they have following up behind Caleb Williams. That could be a little bit of a stretch because we don't know who's in the fold. But this is, if USC ever had a year to do it, this is the year to do it. Absolutely.
So it is, and it's not the year that they expanded the playoff system, right?
Bingo.
So, and then too, like they better get it now because once they go into the Big Ten next season, it's going to be hard. To me, it's going to be hard for them to actually try to break through with that because the simple fact that you still got to go up against Ohio State, you got to go up against Michigan State, you got to go Iowa. You have a slew of teams when you can go to this next.
Michigan State shouldn't be no problem next year, but I mean.
But I'm just saying though, it's still it's still Midwest football, and Midwest football is different from West Coast football. So.
Yeah, because they'll probably. I mean, like the thing too, like that kind of goes into that is like I feel like what you touched on a little bit as well is like college football as we know it is getting ready to change next year. Like after this season, college football is changing. We're having teams doing early buyouts, trying to join conferences and trying to make this talent pool on what our normal schedules that we're so used to is changing. Like me and Blue are getting ready to face Texas and Oklahoma on a yearly basis. Which means that some of these other quote-unquote cupcake, your Georgia, Alabama schedules, aren't as soft as they normally would be because you're adding two more historic programs from college football, which is the truth. I mean, Georgia's got like literally probably the easiest schedule I've ever seen in my entire life next year. These boys play 3 schools that they're paying millions of dollars to come and literally throw 60 on them. So it's sticking to the topic of, I guess, the question that's asked. I think that if USC doesn't make it to the Natty this year, the entire season was a waste. Absolute waste.
Yeah.
I think it might even be deeper than that in terms of like, yes, this is championship or bust, especially Pac-12 championship, man. If you let Utah catch you again, we got to have a real conversation around like the future of this team. But then two, we're going to have a real conversation about Lincoln Riley's ceiling as a coach. Is he going the route of a Brian Kelly where he can never win the big one? Or is
Ryan
he going
Day?
Or Ryan Day.
Ryan Day?
Yeah, exactly. Or I mean, you could throw a lot of people into that, but anyway, like just where is he going to go? Or is he going to step into that elite category? Because I don't think he's in the top tier of college football coaches right now. He hasn't earned that.
No.
You can't be mentioned next to Kirby Smart and Nick Saban and these guys, and you can't even win a conference championship consistently.
No, in different facets, like you're saying, in different facets, Lincoln Riley is definitely appreciated. He's one of the best play callers in football. He's one of the best quarterback gurus. He has that aspect to him, but he's not your polished. He doesn't sit on a pedestal of even one of those guys. It's like I'm picking 4 college coaches in NCAA right now that can lead me to a national championship. You're not gonna even mention Lincoln Riley.
No, especially after what happened the last time he was in the playoffs. LSU put up like 60 by almost halftime against that team. Yes. That is embarrassing. Yes. In the college football playoff, that was worse. I mean, people are dogging TCU. They forgot that Oklahoma LSU game was much worse in the first round. I mean, they didn't even. It was atrocious. At
Oh.
least TCU hung around for a quarter. Like
Wasn't it was it mid 40s? Wasn't it like 48 to like
nothing
at
at like halftime?
Like
they were
them
beating
boys
them
put
to
in like
death.
the third string to start the
Yes.
third quarter.
I mean, it's tough when you're playing Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson.
Nah,
Jamar
you
Chase.
can't in the playoffs,
that's
bro. You
the
can't
best.
give that up.
But you got also realize this too. When he was at Oklahoma, he coached at Oklahoma. They lost in the playoff to Georgia. Like basically, his whole defense got beat to sleep by the run game. Well, both defense got beat to sleep because they couldn't stop each other. But to the fact that his defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, when it came to the running attack, they lost their game. And he was the head coach of the team at the time. So, and then you could take a look at what he did, what happened this season in the Cotton Bowl when they played Tulane. They had a big lead, and they let little old Tulane from New Orleans, come back up on them and beat them in the Cotton Bowl. Come on now.
Man, but another thing too, like to kind of like take into perspective too, which obviously doesn't help Lincoln Riley no matter what, obviously being like an offensive mind. Dude, I'm not kidding. I would take 2014 or 2013 Bluffton High School defense over Oklahoma's defense at any time period because Oklahoma's defense is literally hot dog water. Always. It's always trash. It doesn't matter how good they get. It doesn't matter if they're at the absolute pinnacle of college football of what they feel like. Oklahoma's defense is like a guarantee in life. Like death, taxes, trash Oklahoma defense. They're always bad. They can score 60 points a game, but they're giving up 48. I guarantee it.
Hey, we had a couple 4 stars on that defense. We could have do something. You ain't wrong.
Facts. And USC has to change that. That's going to be the major game changer for this USC team this year. You're talking about a schedule that's it's like more back heavy, all right? The first couple of games, talking about San Jose State, Nevada, Stanford, Arizona State, Colorado, right? So I think they honestly could get off to a hot start, you know what I mean? And run into a really a top 10, top 5, top of ranking mid-season. Now, the pressure is going to be on USC and Lincoln Riley to finish the job. The back half of the season, you're playing Oregon and Washington, you're playing UCLA. It's a little tougher. You also got to get through Notre Dame. So, to me, I mean, honestly, this early, I predict them to go 11-1, lose to Oregon. But I really think the big difference is going to have to be the defense. If this defense is bad against Nevada and Stanford, USC is going to be in for a long season. We saw what Caleb Williams had to do, scoring 40 and 50 points against teams by himself, literally, just to stay in the game. So, USC – defense, like I was saying, defense. You can't bring that hot dog water to the Pac-12. It's just not going to work.
Can't bring that hot dog water.
It is going to take more than Bear Alexander and Traquan to get that done, too. So they need to definitely get more for that defensive side of the ball.
Kobe, question for you, because this is obviously random quick topic, but I had a friend send me this on Twitter the other day. Do you think that Marvin Harrison could pull a Jamar Chase and still go top 5?
Yes.
I think Marvin Harrison probably goes 1 next year. Bold take. I think Marvin Harrison goes number 1 overall over Caleb Williams.
This ain't even a random topic because that was literally the next topic, right? NFL scouts they keep hyping him up, and I get the hype, but they've said they believe he's the best prospect since Megatron. Multiple scouts have said they believe he's the best wide receiver prospect since Megatron. So, I do think just based off of what I'm hearing from these scouts, he could sit out and still go top 5. Even I still take him.
100%, 110%. Like the one scout that said it's like window shopping for a Ferrari, knowing that you're not old enough to have a license.
and listen, and that's what I want to talk about with all this hype that he's getting. Is it too much? Because I don't care how talented you are. At some point, man, the pressure that they put on these prospects, it gets to be a lot because they get so excited about what they can't have just yet. Is it too much, or do you like it? Do you agree that he's the best wide receiver prospect since Megatron?
Think about in a time frame. We're all obviously old enough to remember some of these guys that I'm going to list off. Did you ever hear the hype around guys like AJ Green? that Marvin Harrison's getting? Did you hear the hype around DeAndre Hopkins at Clemson that Marvin Harrison's getting? You didn't. Marvin Harrison, I don't think there's been a receiver, like you said, that has been talked about on this pedestal. Bro, this man as a sophomore in college, they're saying this guy's going 1 overall over guys that are in a top 5 role. Typically, those teams are quarterback hungry. I think that there's definitely a chance that if Marvin Harrison doesn't go 1, he goes 2 100% easily. I would lock that in with Vegas if I had the ability to bet for that right now. He's special. He is truly special. This man was putting he was putting them boys on his back whenever they played Georgia. He accounted for, at one point, they showed a stat in blue. I feel like, obviously, you talked about this game it was a couple episodes ago. At one point, was it until he got hurt? What it was 4 or 5 minutes in the third quarter, correct? At one point, he was contributing for almost 60% of their offense.
Man, that's crazy.
You're counting on a guy. You're calling on a guy that 2 years ago was sitting in high school, and this man was literally in it, one of the biggest games of the entire season, and then he ends up getting hurt. Who knows what happens if he doesn't? If you want to being able to,
I will say to his credit, there was a point in time during his freshman year where we thought he wouldn't even see the field for the majority of his college career because that wide receiver room for Ohio State was so deep. So credit to him for not only getting on the field but dominating. I give him that.
Absolutely.
Man, JSN, Olave himself, and that room was super.
Jackson?
Like JS, man, that room was super deep. Just
people forget, like Caleb Burton was a top 100 recruit and had to leave because he could not see the field as a top 100 recruit.
I will say that Ohio State, but then that's just a testament to Brian Hartline, honestly. I don't think that there's anybody in college football that's a better recruiter for their position than Brian Hartline. It's not even close. Brian Hartline should probably be one of the highest paid assistants, if not the highest paid recruiter in college football, easily.
He's, if I'm not mistaken, he always finishes like top 5 in the like recruiter ranking. I want to say it's like football school, but he's always
last year. Was the number one. He was the number one recruiter in college football last year.
I disagree, Austin. I will say this. I think. Listen, I'm not saying he is better than his dad.
No,
his ceiling is higher than his dad's.
I
like
agree.
He's one of the few like junior prospects where it's like, man, why would you compare it to his dad? Give him some time. Everything that I've seen on film that he's put out for people, his measurables 6'4", 205, and can fly and catch everything. His catch radius is crazy. His ceiling is higher than Marvin Harrison's ever was as a prospect.
Man, that's crazy though. Just think about this though. Like his dad was like 5'11", probably like 160, 170.
That's the reason his ceiling is so high. He has measurables that his dad doesn't have.
Right. And he has the same type of speed, but the catch radius is way out there. You just, you know what I'm saying? The name just speaks out because his dad's a dog. His dad's a dog. And when you think about Marvin Harrison Sr., you're thinking about him playing with the Indianapolis Colts. But when you talk about as far as college goes, you have to go back when he was at Syracuse and he was playing with Donovan with McNabb in the freeze option offense, where the offense wasn't geared for the receiver to make, to get big numbers like that. It was geared to basically run the football. It was more like a pro style option type offense. So, but it was to even out the offense. But the way with his son, oh my God, it's you can't put. I mean, I can't really compare him like that as far as what you see with NFL Marvin Harrison. But compared to college Marvin Harrison, yeah, I could do it. I could say he's better than his dad from college, but I'm not gonna put him way up there. I wouldn't put him way up there as far as like being better than his dad in NFL.
Yeah, now I think a prospect and NFL career, two different things. You know, I had the Marvin Harrison fathead on my wall growing up, so I know all about Marvin Harrison. Great receiver, bro. He blowing the top off the defense. That's what he does. And Marvin Harrison Jr., I love him too. I mean, he would have been on my Heisman ballot if I got a vote last year. So I enjoy both players. I think as a prospect, things are different. I'm sorry. In 2023, top prospects get a certain amount of respect. We talked about Jamar Chase and, Justin Jefferson, guys like that could sit out for a season and still get drafted in the top 5. It's a little bit different. And I think Marvin Harrison Jr. at 6'4", his measurables are what makes him elite. We saw Justin Jefferson get voted as like #1 top 100 NFL players this year. So when looking at the NFL and where it's going, Marvin Harrison Jr. is your prototypical top 5 pick in today's era of NFL football. So I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be the top receiver. I don't see any reason why a team wouldn't take him at #1.
100%.
That was going to be my next question. When it comes to Caleb Williams, and I know it's need based, but Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr. Should we make a case that Marvin Harrison Jr. deserves to go #1 over Caleb Williams?
It depends on who gets the first pick. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't matter if you draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Because the problem with the wide receiver position, as great as a wide receiver can be, it's a dependent position. Because if you don't have the first piece to the puzzle, you can have a receiving core of Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, Jerry Rice, but if you got a trash quarterback, that team isn't winning. Because you can't get your best players the ball. You might not have an offensive line. So the problem with that is if you have a real need at quarterback, you cannot take a chance on Marvin Harrison Jr. because now you're just wasting him because you literally are just having him sit out there and you can't get him the football.
But at the same time, it also probably gives an NFL team the incentive to try to make that situation where we say, hey, we got this guy who could be a generational talent. Maybe let's go out here and make some moves. That could be the situation at hand. Something that I kind of wanted to throw out there too is a thing that I'm kind of a little bit worried about for Marvin Harrison next year is who is his play caller next year. I mean, there's the smoke with TJ Finley. Is that done?
No,
Blue?
TJ Finley committed to Texas State today.
Okay, well, I didn't see that. I was at work busy as hell today. Which I mean, whoever's next in the fold for them. I mean, you got to think they've had consistent quarterback play that has gone.
There's nothing that can happen this year that would
not
deter me from taking Marvin Harrison Jr.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It's not in terms of draft stock. It's just more so of what numbers is he going to put up this year with whoever's throwing him the ball. Like, this guy's not your typical Ohio State guys that have that aura kind of around him where it's like these guys are going up and they're putting up numbers. Your C.J. Stroud, your J.T. Barrett, your Justin Fields. Look, even like I was a fan of Braxton Miller. People hate on Braxton Miller. I love Braxton Miller. I was a big fan of Braxton Miller. I thought Braxton Miller was so swaggy at Ohio State, dude. When he hit that one spin move, I was like, he is him. He is him,
dog, bro.
I like this comment right here.
It's hard to pass on a good QB sometimes, even when you have other needs. True.
It's definitely the truth.
All right. Talk about it. Now let's get to a topic that I want to talk about. Quarterback U. We talked about running back U on the show. We talked about wide receiver U. Quarterback U. Who is it, in your opinion?
It's tough.
It's like in the last 5 years? 5-6 years?
If it's the last 5 years, it's Clemson.
Really?
100%. In the last 5 years, it's Clemson. Name anybody else that's as polished as Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, all right. Well, here's the thing. Are we excluding? Do you want to exclude the NFL career? Like, if we're just talking about college, is it still?
Yeah, if you're talking about QBU, you only can talk about college. Like, it doesn't matter what they do post that. Like, at the end of the day, like
that's what I'm getting at. Is if you go the last 5 years.
But you can't just go the last 5 years. Like, if you're QBU, it means you've been producing quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just be like, hey, in the past 3 years. Like, because to me, if you go
like Oklahoma.
Like if you go full history, if you go full history, to me, it's easy. It's Oklahoma. Because what's the streak at damn near? Because because Spencer Rattler looks like he's going to turn out to be just fine.
Yeah.
You got him in there. You also got Jalen Hurts. You
Yeah.
got Kyler Murray. You had Baker Mayfield, who is let's be honest, you could say what you want about him in the NFL. The dude was putting up record numbers at Oklahoma. Then you go back to the 1 year with Trevor Knight, who beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl and was putting up stupid stats in his first year. Then Landry Jones, you could say what you want, a absolute record-setting quarterback, still holds multiple NCAA records.
Austin,
yeah,
Sam
and then
Bradford.
and then I was going to keep going. Sam Bradford was the year before Landry Jones.
Then you go back. Red Bomar.
And then you Rhett Bomar in 05, and then you go back to Jason White, who was like a 3-time Heisman finalist, won the Heisman, and then you go back further to the late 90s, and you got Josh Heupel.
Yep.
Let's go back. Jamel Holloway.
Yeah.
Was he like the first freshman to win a national championship?
Yeah. And then you got Troy Aikman in 84.
And then he transferred to UCLA because he didn't want to win the wishbone.
I would say obviously the case is made for Oklahoma, but what about your USC?
No, USC is second for me. I absolutely agree with USC is second.
Your Liners.
Yeah. That's what I had on mine. I SC up there. I mean, I thought we was going like 10 years. If we're going like 50 years, then I guess it turns into SC for me. But I was thinking like a little more recent. I was definitely going to put Bama in the mix with what they've done with their last 5 starting quarterbacks between Jalen Hurts, Tua, and those guys. I do like the streak they've been on. But if we're going 50 years, though, or entirety of college football history, give me USC. I say USC with Matt Leinart and Carson Palmer, all those guys, all the way up now to Caleb Williams.
Notre Dame's obviously. I mean, Notre Dame's got to be in the mix too. That's a good comment, Dr. Hook. I mean, Notre Dame's got to be top 5 in the mix, 100%. You have to.
Yeah, you go back all the way to Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Joe Montana, Rick Meyer, Brady Quinn. Like, you can pretty much go back then. But then when you said with USC, I could go back to Rob Johnson. I can go, Carson Palmer. Matt Leinart, yes, Sam, Matt Barkley, Sam Darnold. You can go out to all those guys right there.
What, Mark Sanchez?
Mark Sanchez, yes, Mark Sanchez.
I'm surprised Kobe hasn't jumped in on this one because if you're talking recent history, Oregon has a pretty Justin Herbert, Mariota, Bo Nix is a current top 5 prospect. Dennis Dixon was a pretty good college quarterback, and then
was savage.
And then Joey Harrington if we're keeping it in the 2000s, Joey Harrington was putting up some stupid numbers at Oregon.
I didn't know how y'all would react to it once I started throwing out guys like Jared Masoli and Darren Thomas. Like I didn't know how y'all would react to it. That's why I was like, I'm gonna just be quiet on this one.
I could go to Keely Smith because Keely Smith is the one who got that team he was on. Pretty much jump started Oregon to what you see now.
Yeah. But I mean, like another thing too, you got to throw in if you're talking the last like X amount of years, you got to throw Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence in there.
Yeah,
that's true.
Got to just off of Taj Boyd just off of stats. I mean, he didn't really do anything crazy, but Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, we're talking about national championships, Heisman winners. I mean, all-time school records, all-time ACC records.
I can't believe I got 2 fans on the panel. I got to throw out both their schools for them. Florida is in this mix too with some of the quarterbacks they've developed as well.
But some of those guys are very partial though.
Danny Warfel, Shane Matthews,
Steve Spurrier, Tim Tebow, Will Grier, Kyle Trask,
Jacoby Brissett.
If you want to give us the nod of him barely even seeing the field, Cam Newton was a year under Urban Meyer.
Rex Grossman.
I mean, you can
Chris Leak. I mean, there were some options.
Yeah, there's some work in the 2000s.
What about West Virginia? Well, not really West Virginia. Okay, we'll throw in
Rich Rodriguez, West Virginia.
Would you throw in
that like small part?
Small portion right there.
Would you give a little bit of? Would you give like at least like a peek? I mean, obviously not QBU, but would you give a peek at like Virginia Tech?
With Michael Vick.
You got to throw a little bit of love to Mike Vick now, dog.
Okay, I need you to have more than one. Like, if we're just throwing one out, then we're throwing Auburn in there because Cam Newton's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever come through.
But how many? What's the least amount?
I think West Virginia was Pat White, right?
I think you have to have 3.
Okay.
West Virginia got Pat White,
do the game
Will
cost?
Greer.
Is Steven Garcia, Dylan Thompson, Connor Shaw?
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, you can't sleep on Connor Cook now.
Texas, I can't say. I'm looking at the comment. Texas, I can't say too much about Texas because after you could go Peter Gardell, you could go after Peter Gardell, James Brown. After James Brown, they had a little downtime with Richard Cherry and then Richard Walton, and then you go into the Vince Young era, and then after Colt McCoy. After Colt McCoy, it's like
it's not really crazy.
It's nothing new. Because if you could, you can go to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State had a bevy of quarterbacks that came out. Yeah, you can go to
Florida State.
Florida State.
Yeah, Florida
yes.
State. Florida State. It was who else? Because Charlie Ward was 90s. You had Winston. You had Chris Winkie. You had Danny Cannell.
Christian Ponder.
Yeah, I forgot about EJ Manuel was also a top draft pick.
EJ Manuel got him a big draft pick with the Bills, and he did nothing. But
well, yeah, that happened.
He did nothing.
That was a weak class, though. That was a weak class.
That was a weak class, and they were going off of that whole season that they had, and then Jameis comes in, does his thing, whatever. Ball.
Texas Tech. I'm looking at Texas Tech. So you can start off with my guy Robert Hall. Then you go to Zebby Lethbridge. Then you go into the Cliff Kingsbury era. Sonny Cumbie, B.J. Simons, Graham Harrell, and then
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes. So you can transition to Patrick Mahomes. Hell, Baker Mayfield for a split second before he walked up out of there and walked on to Oklahoma. So you could kind of go into that sense, but that's part of that. The end of the Spike Dykes to the Mike Leach era. So Mike Leach ran that whole thing right there.
What about honorable mention? What about Boston College?
Matt Ryan and those guys, maybe.
Yeah,
Kelly,
I can see the honorable mention.
I'm not sure about Boston College. I mean Matt Ryan, but I don't know about anybody else that didn't like me.
Wasn't it Doug Flutie?
Yeah, Doug Flutie.
Oh yeah,
Flutie, Boston College.
Understand
because I had to find my notes because we did an episode about this like back when I had a co-host Brandon back in 2020. So in 2020, the top 10 according to ESPN was Oklahoma, USC, Oregon was 3, Louisville was 4, Texas was 5, Florida State 6, Auburn 7, Florida 8, LSU 9, and Ohio State 10.
Who does Louisville have beside Bridgewater and Lamar though?
Shit, Jeff Brom.
Jeff Brom.
Yeah, like
so they looked at seasons from 98 to 2020. I'm trying to see who all Louisville had as a starting quarterback.
Okay, so then what about Houston?
Andre Ware,
Case Keenum,
Case Keenum, Andre Ware, David Klingler. And then it's a Doge.
Random ones. I know Case Keenum. I know Case Keenum's probably got to be the biggest, like what he did in college at Houston.
Yeah, Case Keenum, De'Aaron King before he transferred to Miami.
Yeah. Which was stupid of him to do that, but whatever.
But Greg Ward.
Yeah. Greg Ward was.
Oh, my bad. So they said that the 2 under the radar teams, one was Cal, because you got to give them Aaron Rodgers and Jared Goff. And then the other one is NC State, because you got to give them Russell Wilson, Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, Mike Glennon, and Ryan Finley.
Absolutely.
So that's a pretty solid.
That's a nice run. That's a nice run right there.
I would say that, but for having an honorable mention, that's kind of like such. Like you could throw them in there. You could throw them in there. You could throw them in there.
You can throw them in there. That's nice.
Ryan Finley. Isn't Ryan Finley hold every single record?
Yeah, over there.
For NC State?
I think so. If I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know NC State's record book.
All right, so check this out. Alabama had a big pickup in the transfer portal a couple of days ago by getting Trey Amos, one of the most highly sought after DBs in the transfer portal. As a matter of fact, he was only in there for a couple of days before he got offers from Bama, Oregon, Florida, Oklahoma, stuff like that. But ultimately, Bama got him. So now that Bama has Trey Amos, does him and Kool-Aid McKinstry become the scariest duo in college football or no?
Who is covering the top for Bama on safety? Because we don't have Jordan Battle back there no more. I want to know
they just
holding it down.
they got
Branch
a
is gone
safety
too
from
now.
UAB.
Okay, so in other news,
I am not scared.
In other news, Branch is gone, Jordan Battle's gone. So I want to know who's covering the top, because if that's the case, you're going to go on corners and just straight secondary. I would say you still have to look at
Georgia.
You still have to look at Georgia, definitely. You still got to look at Georgia. You still got to, I think, make at least a little bit of a nod towards what? I was really just thinking about it. I would say you have to give Colorado a little bit of respect there. No?
No,
Really?
not yet. They better prove something.
Why not?
Because I mean, Travis
Why
is
not?
a decent corner, but he's a better receiver in my opinion.
Yeah.
When it comes to what's the other kid's name?
Cormani?
Yeah,
Cormani
Cormani
McClain.
McClain. I haven't seen him yet on the collegiate level. Like, I don't know how good he's gonna be. And plus, he's so skinny. Like, has he put weight on? There's so many questions with him.
Did Clemson retain? Who's the? No, he got drafted, didn't he? The big corner they have from Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Because I'm looking at Georgia. I think you take Malachi Starks, Kamari Lassiter, and Javon Bullard.
Yeah.
In that secondary, that is terrifying. Like Bullard and Lassiter were two of the top 10 highest graded defensive backs in college football last year that are returning. And then Malachi Starks was like a freshman All-American and was doing his thing at safety. So I think you got to go Georgia, man. Like Georgia has the scariest defense in college football, then the scariest duo, and you can add a trio for them in the secondary, which is terrifying.
Let's go through the list here real quick, fellas. I mean, let's go through guys that are sitting, with that status of DBU. What are we thinking LSU looks like next year?
I'm never going to doubt LSU and DBs. I'll be honest. I don't even care if I don't know their names. Like, they're always going to have a good.
Ain't they the real DBU? Mm-hmm.
That's the same way that I think about.
Right.
Obviously, you know how I feel about my squad. I mean, I'm the same way as I never even really worry about corners, even if it's like, oh, we don't have really something crazy. I mean, we're still gonna have guys that are gonna go in there and they're gonna get developed. It might take them a couple of years, but we're gonna put somebody in the draft. We always do.
Who's the kid? Oh my God, he's returning for Florida. Like he was in that same article I was reading the other day about. I think he was like the 7th highest graded defensive back coming back from Florida.
Marshall Jr.
Yeah, he's gonna be a monster though.
So we lost Chaz Kimbrough. We still got Jaden Hill, I believe, coming back. We still got a lot of guys left, man. Like Kamar Wilcoxon left. He went to Temple. I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough to see kind of who goes in there. Like right off the rip and kind of goes out. This is the thing; it's going to be young. Jason Marshall's the only real like proven thing, and then we got Corey Collier, but he's a safety.
So I would say Amos and McKinstry are probably like 2 or 3 for me. But man, until someone shows me that they can take advantage of that Georgia defense, other than Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm gonna ride with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like Kool-Aid, and I do like this new pickup. Alabama as a whole, to me, I think they have a lot to prove, and it's a lot to hope for on defense based on last year. You still got the same roadblocks that were in the way last year returning. Still got to go through the Tennessees, the Georgias, South Carolinas. I think that Alabama as a team isn't that good. I think that they really are a ways away from a national championship, and that won't make their DBs look good. I mean, I think last year we saw at times even those nice safeties were exposed against top-tier programs. I think Alabama really needs to improve defensively, but as a team, if they improve, it'll make these DBs look so much better, and they won't be put in tough situations.
Well, did they land that kid from UAB? Today or yesterday, the Jalen Key kid?
Yeah.
Wasn't he first team?
Yeah, he's a stud. Like he was.
But here's the thing, though, with transfers,
so.
I'm looking at these transfers with Alabama, and I'm just looking like does Nick Saban look at his roster, see what he has, and thinks to himself, "This ain't good"? Like, I need to like salvage.
I mean, that's what great coaches do, man. It don't matter how hard you recruit and stuff like that. And you go out there within the transfer portal era and stuff like that. You see, okay, hold on, we're gonna hold some practices. We're gonna have that spring game and stuff like that. You're gonna sit down. You're gonna call on all your assistants. You're gonna have that conversation. Saying, like, as the head man, we had this conversation episode like 6, where you have guys who are glorified coordinators, and you have CEOs. Guys who are CEOs. Your Nick Sabans, your Kirby Smarts, your Dabo Sweeneys. There's really not a lot of other guys that are really on that same level in terms of the way that they carry their quote-unquote front office. You can't really throw Harbaugh in there like that. You can't really throw Ryan Day in there like that because they haven't really accomplished anything. When you're talking about the 3 best college coaches, head coach for Clemson, Georgia, and Alabama. And that's the 3 best coaches in college football, hands down, period, top to bottom in every single facet. They have to call defense, they have to call an offense, and just off of pure judgment and the way that they carry themselves with their teams, that's the way that it is. So I would say that more so of when you have these situations where you gotta get into that portal, it means that you're not content. Because if he was content, he wouldn't have done that. Or it's like, okay, he sees something in this kid that says, all right, this is going to compliment my team, and I got a spot on the scholarship. You know what I mean?
But it's the Tyler Buckner signing that makes me feel like his boat is sinking, and he's trying to put flex in on it. Like that's the vibe I'm getting. I mean,
I hate to say it, man, and I don't know if y'all will agree with me or not, man. I think we see Saban done within the next 2 or 3 years, man. I think Saban's kind of getting to that point now. I mean, he's still going out here, he's winning 10 games and doing that, but that's not. We're talking about.
So you think the window is closing up on Alabama now?
I wouldn't say it's just the window closing, because I feel like we all know what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen. Whether anybody wants to say it or not, it's literally written down in paper. Whether it gets to the point where, Nick Saban's not happy with winning these 10 games because he's your Tiger Woods, he's your Michael Jordan, he's whatever. He has that grit to him to where his thing is perfection. He wants to win. You see him in these interviews, he talks about, oh, we played like shit, blah, 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 after he gets done hanging 70 on a fucking UAB or fucking University of South Carolina, Buford. They hang 70. He's like, we played like shit. Offense was shit. We're missing our first fucking reads. Defense is blowing fucking whatever. Might as well. They have negative 100 fucking rushing yards on defense, whatever. But it's the storyline. The red carpet's rolled out. I think Saban in the next 2 or 3 years, he's going to get tired of this whole, man, I'm only winning 10 games, whatever. He's already accomplished everything. He's the greatest of all time. And then we see what happens with the contract. Dabo takes Bama. That's how the cookie plays out. Dabo takes Bama. That's how the cookie plays out. The contract was written when he signed the extension with Clemson. He has one clause in there that negotiates his buyout is for Alabama. His alma mater, the place he's always wanted to be. I guarantee you, mark my words, God strike me dead if I'm lying. The next 5 years, Dabo Sweeney is the head coach of the University of Alabama. The hottest take you've ever seen.
Bro, if he gonna
hot take,
it's gonna be Lane Kiffin. It's gonna be Lane Kiffin.
Alabama. Nope. Dabo Sweeney will coach Alabama. Alabama will drop whatever amount of money they have to, with him being the second or third highest paid coach. Dabo Sweeney coaches the Crimson Tide in the next 5 years. Book it.
So Alabama gonna throw Mel Tucker money to him?
I mean, shit. I would say that with the track record that he has at Clemson, I would say you give him a fucking job like Alabama, top 3 job in college football. Shit, they're going to probably be paying Dabo Sweeney probably $120, $130 million over X amount of years.
I'm not going to lie. Dabo Sweeney, this NIL era, it's kind of boo-boo. Keep it real. He hasn't been taking advantage of the portal. He hasn't asserted his dominance. He picked the wrong quarterback in DJU. I'm not really sure if he's the answer. But I definitely think Nick Saban is on his way out. He's like 72 years old. I mean, you got to think, how much longer can this grandfather continue to coach all these players? I think Nick Saban's on his way out. Whoever's coming in next is definitely the writing's on the wall for him. Now, is Dabo Sweeney the answer? I'm really not sure. He had some great years at Clemson, but in 2023 with the NIL and everything, I'm not sure if he's him. Maybe Lane Kiffin is your better option. You saw he just attracted 2 transfer quarterbacks, top quarterbacks, after having your starting quarterback, Jackson Dart, return. He attracts talent. And I mean, honestly, Alabama needs that. They need an influx of talent. They haven't attacked the transfer portal. They have trusted their younger guys. And maybe in 2023, you got to just get with the program. And Lane Kiffin might be the program.
I just think it's wild that this man made sure that in his contract that he noted Alabama, which is
I don't
wild.
think that like from what I was told, because listen, I got family who coaches up there. That wasn't Dabo's doing. That was Clemson putting it out there to try to deter Alabama from even making an offer.
Wow.
Oh wow.
The biggest bluff right there.
Okay. All right. So check this out. Urban Meyer said that Texas may have the most talented roster in college football. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Hey, give me a big screen. Give me a big screen.
What y'all boys got going on this weekend, dog?
Give me a big
Y'all boys
screen.
getting into something crazy this weekend? What y'all doing for Mother's Day?
Give me a big screen, Kobe. I ain't gonna tell you name, but I'm gonna just tell you just like this. Hell no. Hell no. No. Hell no. No.
I love
They
it.
do not have the most talented team
Preach,
in
Doc.
college football. What?
Preach, Doc.
Man, I'm not a Texas fan.
Hey, church is in session, Doc. Let it preach, baby.
All right, so we all in agreement that that's crazy. Like y'all,
Texas doesn't have a better roster top to bottom than USC. They don't have a better roster top to bottom than Michigan.
Texas, bro.
They don't have a better roster top to bottom than literally, I would say probably anybody in the top 10 right now.
I don't know what Urban was smoking on, man. He should not even made that. He should not even made that comment, bro.
Dog, this man's out here grabbing young girls and faking heart attacks and shit. You gotta stop with Urban Meyer, man. Urban Meyer's like that. Urban Meyer's that one uncle that always shows up to the holidays drunk, and you're like, man, fuck, man, this dude's here again. But at the same time, you're like, I love him, I respect him a little bit, but I mean, he's questionable, dog.
oh my god.
I say they have a competitive team. I mean, they have a competitive team with the roster. Nah.
I want to know who Urban Meyer's plug is, cause I need to talk to this man.
Oh.
I need to have a couple conversations with this guy and ask him what's going on.
I don't know what, man.
Shit,
He don't even have the most talented roster in the state. What you talking about?
He's probably taxing 60 for the 3.5, and Urban Meyer's paying that thing.
All right, one more topic, and then we go get to overreaction, not overreaction, to end the show.
You should have saved that one for that segment.
You know?
Urban Meyer's on that shit, dog. I don't care what nobody says. You gotta drug test that man.
Urban Meyer might think it's 2014 right now.
For real.
Hey.
All right. So we talked about this earlier, man. Tyler Buckner transferring to Alabama. Does this mean that Saban knows he doesn't have much in that quarterback room, and he's really just trying his best to save the season?
Man, I think they have a really good tight end playing quarterback for him next year. I think they got he's going to be a damn good tight end in the league, dog. I mean, excuse my French here. That motherfucker is the biggest quarterback I've ever seen in my life. He looks like he eats the weight room. Like, I don't know what to expect out of him. I really don't. Like, either this guy's going to go out there and have a Lamar Jackson year and he's just an absolute savage, or this guy is just the biggest dude you've ever seen play quarterback that he's just going to be awful.
Did he get a little bit versus Texas, right? He got a little bit of playing time. It was one game that Bryce got hurt.
Yeah, he played against A&M.
Okay.
He's got to be over 250.
So he's another Logan Thomas.
I mean, he might be like Kroger brand Cam Newton that never he might be like great value Cam Newton that like you would love to like see play at like your junior college because he's bigger than everybody on the field, but I'm not sold on what he's got going on.
Oh man, I said Kroger brand.
I think taking it from like a more like just analytical approach, man. I think what happened is is the same thing that happened to Dabo when he brought in DJU. There was this streak of hits in terms of quarterback evaluations where you hit on Taj Boyd, you hit on Deshaun Watson, you hit on Trevor Lawrence, you half hit on Kelly Bryant, but you had a good enough defense to carry that team. But we knew what was coming in with Trevor Lawrence. But the fact you saw what one QB miss did to Clemson. It's looking like when you look at when Nick Saban came to Bama, he either always had a good enough team to carry an average quarterback, the McCarrons, the
John Parker Wilkins,
like those guys. Like he had a team to carry them.
Poker.
But then he started hitting on quarterbacks with Kiffin. He hit on Jalen Hurts. He hit on Bryce Young. He hit on Tua. He hit on Mac Jones. We might just see Saban miss his first quarterback evaluation in a long time. Now the question becomes, did he improve the team around him enough to prop one of these quarterbacks up just to get them there? Because right now I'm looking at the quarterback situation. I don't see a quarterback situation that's a national championship quarterback on that roster. But when you look at what happened with Stetson Bennett, none of us think Stetson Bennett's winning the national championship anywhere else in college football. But the structure that was built around Stetson Bennett made him the best version of himself to go win a national title. The question I have is, does Buckner or any of these other quarterbacks have the structure around them to prop them up? It's just a situation of Bama has replaced multiple offensive coordinators over these past few years. Man. Did they finally miss on a QB evaluation? And we're going to see, can he overcome it? Or does he kind of fall to the wayside in terms of, and by that, I mean, does he win 9-10 games rather than really competing for a national title, similar to where Clemson has been for the past few years?
I think one of the things too to kind of look at too, and I feel like all y'all boys will agree with me because I had this conversation with one of my friends who's an Alabama fan. Have you noticed over the last, I would say probably 3 years, Nick Saban hasn't had the horses in the stable like he normally does in the backfield?
Jahmyr Gibbs was a first-round pick.
He was an over-selected first-round pick.
But he's a dog. Like
I'm saying more so of
like depth-wise.
No, I'm talking about guys who are recruited to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't had those. He hasn't had that stable of running backs where you saw this guy's going out and doing his thing, and you knew this guy was next up. You know what I mean?
Like when Derrick Henry left Najee Harris.
I'm with you on that. Their running back room has not been as good outside of Jahmyr Gibbs.
It really hasn't. It really hasn't. I mean, even when you had like your Damian Harris. Behind Damian Harris was Brian Robinson, correct?
Yeah, Brian Robinson was their lead running back last year, right? Or no, not last year. Who was
2 years ago?
No, 2 years ago. Yeah, when they played Cincinnati.
2 years ago, because he was drafted last year. He was a rookie, and then unfortunately he was shot and then made his debut. But he hasn't really had that. The guys that he's recruited and he put on scholarship that enrolled and walked on day one to Bama and got into the whole offseason program. He really hasn't had that strength at running back like he normally is. Like everybody is come to known. You know what I mean?
Think about Jace McClellan then, because I think he was. I don't know. If you would think he's a hit or miss with Jace.
I mean, it's just I feel like you have to like. There's some guys that in that running back room that still have to like prove it. I mean, think about this, dude. What did Trey Sanders do?
Nothing.
Trey Sanders was one of they were talking about this guy's going to be like this next great thing, and Trey Sanders has Jahmyr Gibbs come in from Georgia Tech, and then Jahmyr Gibbs just does his thing.
Yeah, this whole Tyler Buckner situation. It's definitely. It feels like a dual quarterback situation. That's what it feels like. It's been feeling like that since Jalen Milroe was battling in the spring, and now since Tyler Buckner enters, it still feels like a dual quarterback situation. And I mean, we got to be real. Like, how many winning seasons have we seen from dual quarterback situations? They usually crash and burn. This could be a big problem for Alabama, and even if they don't succeed in winning an SEC championship and going 9 or 10 wins in the era of transfer portal, how many guys leave? Because with Alabama winning 9 or 10 games, there's going to be another new champion. Maybe that's the Georgia, the Tennessee, the South Carolina. But how many guys decide to leave Alabama for new pastures? So I think for Alabama, they have a lot of problems going on right now, all at one time. There's a lot to be figured out in Alabama, and this quarterback situation could make everything worse, honestly.
Like I said, I think it might be the window closing for Alabama, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like Georgia coming in and just, Kirby Smart is pretty much, I wouldn't say Nick Saban 2.0, but he's coming in and
he modeled everything the right way. He sat and did his time. He sat and did his time. He figured out this is the greatest ever. What I need to pick up on every single one of the fruits of his labor, and I have to try to model the things that I want to install in a program, and I have to base it off of the guy that you learned a lot of things from. Window could be closing for Alabama. It's sad. I mean, I don't say it's sad to say because at the same time as I'm ready to start seeing some other teams kind of like come up in the SEC because I'm a big SEC guy. I know Blue probably be happy to see Bama kind of calm down a little bit and let Auburn kind of take them ranks a little bit, but we're also getting ready to add some more teams to the mix.
Blue would be happy when Auburn destroys Alabama in the Iron Bowl.
I feel good though this year because we have a better quarterback than they do.
Y'all got the kid,
Michigan State, Peyton Thorne.
Yeah. Okay.
He's better than Buckner.
I say small wins,
Small wins,
yeah,
baby.
I'll take that. Hey, at the end of the day, I'm making myself a trophy. We had the better quarterback, regardless of the score.
It's right, dog. We're probably gonna win maybe fucking 7 games next year.
It's gonna be y'all and Vandy.
Good.
I'm a Tennessee fan. I'm still going about Joe Milton being on.
It's sad that we're gonna have arguably the best tandem of running backs in the SEC, and we're probably gonna win 7 games.
What team is this?
University of Florida.
I see third Saturday in September, bro.
Yeah, we'll have probably like I mean, in terms of two-headed monster, we'll probably have the best 1-2 punch running backs in the SEC, and we're gonna lose probably
all their games.
All right. So
yeah,
made to that point of the show for overreaction, not overreaction. Doug, I mean, you might not know how it goes. So like, basically, I say something, you tell me whether you think it's a reaction or overreaction. Just so you know, these do not come from my head. I see these on the internet. Like
that's what he says, but I'm getting
that's what he says, but like he'd be like, "Yo, what do you think about this?" Now I'm just fucking.
Yeah,
I'm just fucking with you, Cubby.
This does not come from my head. I swear, all these come from the internet. I don't even want y'all to think that. And I gotta put that disclaimer out there because I know y'all probably get it in your head. But number one,
majority of the time it's on 3 is what it is.
It is. It's on,
It's on 3.
On Twitter.
On 3 and Twitter every time.
So, all right, UGA is going to 3-peat.
Perfect, because they are.
Yeah.
Y'all think so?
Overreaction.
Overreaction.
I gotta stick to an hour ago in the conversation. I think USC wins the Natty this year.
No.
Nah.
They won it with Stetson Bennett, and now you insert a really good quarterback into the system. It's gonna be a problem.
I don't think they more than 3-peating.
All right.
Hard to fight it.
Clemson. This is from RG3. Clemson will shock the nation and be in the running for a national championship.
Overreaction.
Overreaction. No way.
They got to make the playoffs.
I'm about to say they better win the ACC because right now I'm not sure if they're making it out of their conference.
Are they better than Florida State?
If FSU plays as strong as they did and FSU comes up, I mean, them boys might be in for some fits.
Okay. All right. This comes from 24/7 Sports. Wisconsin is next season's Tennessee.
No.
Hell
Stop
no.
This. What? On what basis?
So reaction. Please don't take a little time.
Who's their quarterback?
Whoever said that is the same guy that's smoking that shit with Urban Meyer. I promise you.
Now
I need to know, who is y'all's weed man?
Because they said, thanks to their arrival of Phil Longo, along with several new quarterbacks from the portal, Wisconsin is primed to break out on the first-year coach Luke Fickell.
Bro, they about to run the ball. Wisconsin is a running team, regardless of the
always has been, always will be. Monty Ball, Melvin Ingram, man, carry on.
No, so give Fickell 2 years, and he can compete for the Big Ten. But man, year one, that's a like they at least gave Heupel 2 years. Like,
we're still waiting for Mel Tucker to arrive. All right, it takes time. That ship has been sailed.
They gave that guy the check. He said, "I'm good on winning. Never mind."
All right.
He's basically the twin of damn Jimbo. Give him the check and not do nothing.
All right, we got three more. Three more. We done. Cade Klubnik, not Jordan Travis, is the ACC's top player.
Cap.
That's overreaction.
Cap.
Overreaction.
Cap.
All right.
Buddy from North Carolina might be ACC player.
Yeah, agreed. Drake May.
And we didn't even talk about him earlier though. Like we missed up. We talked about everybody else besides him.
Drake May. Hey, next.
Drake May's probably gonna win ACC
Next
player.
up. He's next up. UNC finishes 6-6 after a preseason top 25.
Cap.
Overreaction. 6-6.
Them boys win a minimum of 8 games next year.
Hang
Well,
on,
they don't know who Mac Brown is, bro.
hang on. Hang on. We're gonna do this the right way. Give me just a second, guys. We're gonna pull up the schedule because 6-6.
That is, I mean, they cannot
right,
have
so-
Drake May playing and probably go 6-6.
Okay, so they open up their season in Charlotte against South Carolina.
Uh-huh.
That's
That's
probably a dub.
Okay, Appalachian State week 2.
Nobody knows that. No one knows how that game goes.
They struggled with him last season too.
Minnesota comes to Chapel Hill in week 3.
That could be a loss.
A loss.
At home,
I'm keeping count on my hands.
Good.
I got them
Good.
2-1.
Yeah, I got them 2-1. Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh.
No
That's
collage can't see.
Yeah, that's a win for me because Pitt
Yeah.
lost so much.
Yeah, they
Still
lost
Still got
a
that
lot.
running back?
They lost a running back, like the top 3 defensive players in this past draft.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'll give that. Syracuse is a win, I think, the next week.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then Miami comes to Chapel Hill. That's a win. I don't trust Miami right now.
It's 5-1.
Boys
Yeah.
are trash.
Virginia comes to Chapel Hill the next week. That's a win.
Mm-hmm.
They travel to Georgia Tech. Everyone's beating Georgia Tech.
Of course.
Then they play Campbell. That's a win. Then they play Duke. That's another win. And it's homecoming. They got homecoming senior day. They got homecoming and senior day on the same day. That's wild one, but that's crazy. Then they travel to Clemson and travel to NC State to end the season. I think they could split those 2 games.
So like a 9-2.
Yeah, I think 9-3.
10-2.
Yeah, 10-2, 9-3 is right there. And 6-6 is wild for that schedule.
Very well.
No way.
That's 5 guaranteed wins on that schedule right
must
now.
not
In my
know who
opinion.
Mac Brown is, man. That man can shit out 10 games win 10 games, bro.
Yeah, the ACC is a little soft. Sorry to say. I think they get through that really easily.
Last one. Georgia starts 3 quarterbacks and still finishes undefeated.
God, dog. Now I can see it happening. I think they're that good otherwise. So, because did they do that? They started 3 quarterbacks to start the season 2 years ago and still went on to win the national championship.
Yeah.
They started 3 quarterbacks in the first game.
Wow.
Oh my
So
God.
what are they going to do? Brock Vandegrift, Carson Beck.
Who's the third one? Is it the true freshman they just brought in?
Well, Brock Vandegrift, Carson Beck is the upperclassman. Carson Beck probably ends up getting the entire job. And then
They run the Wildcat.
who's their third?
They brought in a true freshman. I'm blanking on his name.
Hmm.
All you do, hike the ball, hand it off to the running back, let him do his.
The Viziani kid went to Clemson, right?
Yeah. I wanna say
Viziani
so.
or Riziani or whatever his name is. He went to Clemson, right?
Yeah.
The guy that like barely like I feel like he barely like. At one point they said he was a 5-star, and then they dropped him to a 4.
Yeah, hang on. I'm going back to their 2023 class.
Carson Beck's winning that job. I don't think they're giving it to Vandegrift.
Yeah, I don't either.
Carson Beck's bound for it, man. I remember when he was at Mandarin, I thought that I was like, man, I thought he was going to be something serious.
I'm trying to find. Is it Gunnar Stockton?
Gunnar Stockton.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Is the kid I was thinking of. He didn't
Gunnar
commit
Stockton.
last year. He committed 2 years ago.
But yeah, Carson Beck's a year ahead of him because Carson Beck should be a senior, correct?
Redshirt junior. Plus, you got the
Probably, okay.
COVID season, so he's probably like a 3rd-year senior. And we got like 6 years to play.
Like that one linebacker from whatever it is, it's playing like his 8th or 9th year in college football because he's had like medical red shirts, COVID year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to give that up at that point. But all right.
Bro, this motherfucker is 30. Dude is 30.
The only acceptable time to play college ball at 30 is if you're the one dude at South Carolina State that played at like 67, or you go to BYU.
No, or your 28-year-old Brandon Whedon who still gets drafted first round. Well, he was first round, right? 28th pick in the draft.
Yes.
He got drafted 28th at 28.
Like the man went off, like got married, had kids, like fought in the war, like had 30 grand in 401k.
You know,
he had that 30 grand in his 401k, and then goes back to college and plays at Oklahoma State.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy when we were talking about QBU. Like I mentioned Oklahoma State, and they had a slew of quarterbacks come in too, and he was one of those dudes that was in that. You know what I'm saying? That was in that case. But
only reason why he was relevant was Justin Blackmon, and Justin Blackmon got drafted by the Jags and found out what a bottle of vodka was and a couple $100,000. That man said, "Fuck the
NFL." Man, Kobe's gonna have to try to. He's gonna be begging YouTube to keep his channel monetized.
I'm not monetizing this, bro. Like I'm not monetizing this episode. Like, I'm not gonna monetize it. Hey, but to everybody watching, thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of FBS Friday. This was the most people we had so far in this series. Like what, 70 something, being the highest. So yeah, man, I love the progression. Thank y'all so much. This was fun. Okay, y'all can definitely let everybody know where I can follow y'all at. For everybody that's new to the channel.
Well, everybody can follow me at HBCU Overdrive. I do a show pretty much almost every other night. Yeah, man, just follow me on there. I simulcast on Twitter, simulcast on Facebook Live, but I'm mostly on YouTube. So.
Cool. And it's Kelly Flicks. Work with HBC Red Zone. Don't forget to follow them. Give you nice up-to-date news on HBCU sports. And also stay tapped in with my show. I got a little YouTube channel now. HBC Flicks drops on Mondays, 30-minute football podcast strictly for HBC football.
C McCarter 6 on majority of my social media. Childhood friend of Kobe's. Fluent in French, as y'all can tell. I come on here and do my thing with Kobe, and I'm an avid podcast listener to a lot of college football things. Started off listening to a couple of my guys. One of my friends that was on the podcast with us. If y'all been watching, following along, Uncle Silk on Twitter with the Big 3 roll up and Stadium and Gale kind of got me into this as I was going through the high school years, and we're just out here having fun, man.
Yeah, find me at the Blue Bloods at the _ Blue Bloods on all social media, man. Just no off season, man. Transfer portal recruiting is going crazy, man. So please follow us there.
Man.
Hey, thank y'all again, man. We out, bro. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.